let's be real, you don't know everything about the four-wheel drive scene. So in today's video, we're going to be going over 5 things that every four-wheel drive owner should know, but they don't. Number 1, tire pressures. Everyone thinks they've got it figured out. Everyone thinks they go, oh, 22 PSI for mud, 40 PSI for bitumen roads, all right? But these are gonna be the real PSIs that you should be using on all types of different terrains. Here's how it actually works. Dropping tire pressures increases your tire's footprint. We all know that. And that spreads the load, reduces wheel spin, and gives you a better grip on soft or uneven terrain. But if you go too low on the surface you're on, like sharp rocks, you're asking to pop a bead or pop a tire or slash your tires, right? Your tires can't handle being too low, especially on non-bead lock rims like I have. Okay, so looking at this overlay, this is a quick pressure guide, all right, for your tires. This can vary on load, on tire brand, tire type as well. It all depends on a lot of different things, but this is sort of the basis for your tire pressures. Sand, 14 to 18 PSI. Mud, 18 to 22 PSI. Rocks, 20 to 26 PSI. Dirt tracks, which is kind of like corrugated roads, 26 to 30. You can go lower depending on how bad the road is. On road, back to factory, usually just do what you normally have in your tires. I do 40 PSI, but 36 to 40 PSI is good. Look, as I said before, it does depend on your tire, the size, the load that you're taking. If you've got a big caravan, your rears are gonna be wanting to pump up more on the highways. And yeah, it does always depend on the terrain, because no terrain is the same. Do you know what I mean? They're all different types, like rocky or corrugated, and depends the load that you've got as well, and the type of tire you've got, the configuration of the tire, how it's built, everything like that. I always say, like, start higher and air down. Like, even if you're mid-track, you can always air down a little bit more. Like, if you're coming up to a track, it's not really a track, but it's still a bit corrugated, bit bumpy, I can air down to like 20 or 24, whatever it is. If it's still really bad, I'll air down more. And then if I'm in the mud or whatever, I'll go down like 18, 19, something like that. Again, I'm not really talking about bead lock rims here. I'm just talking about normal steel rims or alloy rims. But for the most part, that's what I do. I always start, like, go for a general sort of PSI guide. And then if I need more tire deflation, I'll do that on the track. Next up, diff locks. Now everyone loves a diff lock. Front and rear diff lock, I'll flick that on and I'm good to go, I'll do everything. Look, you might be right, but do you actually know what you're locking? Do you know what a diff lock is? I'm gonna talk a little bit about it and a little bit about when to use it. Your diff, or your differential, normally lets each wheel on the axle spin at a different speed. You have open differential, LSD differential, you have a welded diff, which is on the Ford Falcons. You also have auto locker diff, and you got different diff centers and all that, but I won't get into all of that. I'm basically just talking about your normal LSD or open diff. Normally each wheel on the axle will spin at a different speed, great for turning, that's the whole point of a diff. But off-road, if one wheel loses traction, let's say you get a wheel lift, all the power goes to the wheel lift and you literally go nowhere, right? So in turn, a diff lock forces both wheels on the axle to spin at the same time. So even if there's one in the air or loose dirt, the other keeps on driving forward. So in this example, you can see that there is a bit of a wheel lift on my friend's XJ, and he doesn't have any lockers, and he has to have a lot of momentum to get over the bump, right? But if he had a locker in this situation, he'd be able to crawl up this because he'd have drive to the wheel that is on the ground. Okay, so a couple of other things. Don't just slap it on when you're ready. Like, if you turn your diff locker on too late, then there's no point, right? You need to turn it on before you do the challenge. Let's say it's a deep mud rut, or there's a lot of bumps like this on one side of the vehicle. You need to have the diff locker on before, all right? Before you go into that big rut or big obstacle, whatever it might be. Definitely do not use this on high traction roads or when you're turning a lot. Let's say if you've got a difficult track that goes like this, where you constantly have to turn like this, do not use your diff locker on this situation, all right? Your diff is gonna be not able to turn properly and you're gonna cause issues, all right? High stress on your axle and on your diff components. So at the end of the day, like, know what your actual setup is. I've got MP300. I have a rear factory diff lock, which is an electrical locker, right? You can get lockers as well, which is an auto locker, which you don't have to turn on, it automatically locks. Bit of controversy about those as well. You've also got air lockers, you've got other type of lockers as well, right? So just investigate a little bit into what your car actually has, and if you even know if you've got diff lock, right? Because half people, they buy a secondhand car, they don't even know they've got a rear diff locker. You can have front diff lockers as well, but majority of utes nowadays, in modern days, have a factory rear locker, and it's something to look into. Number 3, snatch strap safety. Very important. Now, if you don't have a winch and you don't have lockers, your next best recovery is going to be snatches, okay? I'm not going to dive too deep into snatch recovery, specifically how to do it, but I will go over some really easy tips to give to you. Number 1 is rated recovery points and where to snatch off of. Very important, you do not snatch off of moving components, toe balls, and points that are not rotated, like the towing point. Your factory towing anchor is not a snatch anchor, okay? You need rated recovery points on the front and rear of your vehicle. Now, usually a rated recovery point can be in a snatch tow bar tongue that is rated, and you can also buy front recovery snatch points as well, which are rated recovery. Very, very important that you understand this. Do not snatch off of a tow ball, and do not stand anywhere near a snatch point. That means if you've got a car here, this car is snatching this car, and there's snatches here, do not stand anywhere in between here and here, okay? There has been circumstances where people have been hit with big snatch ropes, and I tell you, it can be very, very bad. It can end very, very badly. Okay, so don't stand in between these 2 points. That goes the same as with winching as well. Also with snatch points, have snatch dampeners as well, just in case something does break. And this is also to do with winches as well. Make sure you have a winch dampener, which is basically the blanket thing that you put over. It's a weighted, like, sort of bag you put over the snatch or the winch rope to stop it if it does fling out. Also, when you're snatching somebody else, say I'm snatching my friend out of a bad situation, do not just go zero tension on a snatch, right? So it's like droopy rope or whatever you've got, whatever type of snatch rope you have, and then just full fucking send it, right? You don't know how much or how well their rated recovery points are. Don't just go full send it. You've seen so many videos of people full sending it and their bull bar flies off. Okay, just gently snatch it out. I don't understand the people that go full throttle bang first time. Like, if you've tested out how strong the points are by doing a few slow, small snatches, then yeah, that's good. Then you can do a full one. But just start slow and easy. I don't know why people just full send it straight away. Keep that in mind. Number 4, 12-volt battery setups. So this one's kind of funny. You'll hear people go, oh yeah, I've got a 12-volt setup. I've got the fridge, the lights. I've got a 12-volt oven, dual battery system. And then you ask them, oh yeah, how much amps is your fridge pulling? What type of charger do you have? What gauge wiring did you use? And they'll just be like, they don't know, right? So they've done a full thing and they haven't got a Scooby-Doo, what's going on, right? That also means that they don't know the safety behind it, right? They don't know the potential fire hazards behind it because they don't know how their system works, right? That's why I say to someone, get a professional to install it, okay? But also understand how everything works. So if something does go wrong when you're touring or in the bush or whatever it might be, you actually understand how the systems work. Right? You can't call a professional in the middle of the fucking Simpson desert to come and look at your 12-volt, right? You should need to have some sort of understanding about how it works. Know your battery capacity. How many amp hours does it have? Know sort of the wiring systems and the diagrams a little bit. Understand and take some time to actually understand how they work. You don't need to be an auto elect to know the size of gauge wire that you use, the positive, negative, the fuse box, where the fuse is, the size of the fuses that you have, inline fuse or MIDI fuse. It doesn't take a lot of learning to understand basic principles of electricity and 12 volt setups, and knowing what type of battery you have, a lithium or AGM or deep cell cycle, whatever it might be, right? So just take a little bit of time, because it can be a good prevention of fires if you actually know how your system works to some degree. All right, sweet. My last one, number 5, is going to be track ratings. Now, I use, and a lot of people use, NuTracks. NuTracks is a brilliant free app. There is a pro version. This is not a sponsored video, but I do use NuTracks, and I know everyone that uses NuTracks, right? Now, on NuTracks, you have blue, green, red, black, right? What does that mean? Now, everyone goes, oh, greens are for pussies, blues are for, full drives, blacks are for, sick cunts, reds are for legends, right? Like, that's not how it works, right? Every single track can become a disaster if the weather conditions are bad, or the track is not up to like standard, like it's just been flogged by a bunch of 18-year-olds, right? So please take some time into understanding what the colors of tracks mean, but take it with a pinch of salt, because I've been up blue tracks that should be easy as, but they've got these very deep ruts that I've bottomed out on, and it's been a recovery mission, okay? So with that, I always, when I'm going forward driving, whether it's with myself, in a convoy, whatever it might be, I always go for a little bit of a walk up the track to see how it is, right? Now, if I'm driving on a new track, and if I'm looking at new tracks, sorry, and it's a green track, usually I'm not gonna walk up the track, right? I know it's supposed to be a basic green track. A lot of green tracks aren't even tracks, they're just gravel roads. But if you see a section, there's a big corner, it turns a bit bumpy, don't go full send into it. Let's just a little bit of a walk through it. And this is my last point. We always have to check depth of water. There's so many issues and so many times where people just fucking send it and they hydrolock their car because the water is way too deep and they cannot get out, right? Please check how deep the water is, how deep the rut is. And it might sound like I'm being a bit, parental over this, but I'm really, really trying to push it that I've done it before. I've gone on ruts that I think, oh yeah, sweet, I'll clear it. And I've just had to been dragged out, my diff's taken a beating, my tow bars anchored me in, and it's been a recovery mission. So I'm speaking from experience. You don't want to sit there for 2 hours recovering yourself on a blue track that you didn't investigate properly, all right? Please keep that in mind. Right, so I want to know if you guys are guilty of any of these 5 things that I've said today. Comment down below your experiences with tire pressures, or what you feel like with your diffs. Do you have a diff lock or not? What tire pressure to use for sand, because that is a big controversial topic as well. And hit the like button if you want to see more content like this. I upload every Tuesday and Friday, 4:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Subscribe if you have not already. I'm coming out with heaps of camping, touring, advice, mechanical. If you've got any Navara issues, hit me up in the comments. I'll answer as best as I can. And without further ado, thank you very much. Danke schön.